Hello, everyone! Welcome to
what's
Heroes
up?
Day Off. Yep. Yeah, today I invited StargazerKG to the podcast. So if you guys have never heard of Heroes Day Off, it is my VTuber podcast where I like to invite my peers in the VTubing space where we discuss, where we have discussions about our content creation, who we are as VTubers, and all that shebang. So, Star, would you like to introduce yourself to the chat for me?
Very gladly. So, for anybody who's likely seen me before because I raid into tabs so often, hi. For anybody who hasn't, I'm not just any common writer. I am StargazerKG, the stellar hero VTuber, adventurer, superhero, and streamer when not fighting the forces of evil. I typically stream 5 nights a week starting at 7 p.m. Eastern, and while I'm willing to try anything at least once, I crave action and adventure above all else. Some of my regular programming includes Yakuza on Fridays, Superhero Saturdays, and Sunday Night Smash.
Nice. Yeah, so guys, just to be clear, this is not a superhero podcast, but I have invited superhero VTubers here quite a few times, which is funny. Again, I always thought that maybe there'd be more superhero VTubers considering how mainstream and popular superheroes are, but sometimes VTubers will surprise me one way or another.
They are not a dime a dozen, they are far and few between. But that's why I cherish all the super tubers that I come across all the more.
Yeah, same here. Actually, so I'm curious. So, alright, tell us about how you became a superhero VTuber. How'd you decide to settle on this hero concept?
Oh, that is definitely a tale. Because my character design has gone through quite a few changes, even before I started getting into VTubing.
Mm-hmm.
So, for starters, the idea of the character started off back when I was in high school, and you could probably tell when I'm in my superhero costume, you can tell from the hair that I started off as a Sonic OC.
Well, Star the Hedgehog.
Yeah! In another timeline, I probably would have stuck with being a hedgehog VTuber, but eventually I settled on human, and when I was starting off, I was inspired big time by science fiction, because that was the kind of stuff that I grew up with. Nice. I love science fiction. Mama K grew up watching Star Trek, the original series. I grew up watching Star Trek, The Next Generation, and Deep Space Nine. I watched the Star Wars remaster of Episode 4 when it came out in theaters when I was still a kid. Mm-hmm. And a big inspiration when I was starting off was Phantasy Star Online 2, which I actually participated in the Japanese closed beta test before the game launched. Mm-hmm. Unlike the Japanese version of the game, like way back in 2010, because the story of how it finally came to English-speaking audiences is, in and of itself, a very long story.
Right. So,
when I started off as VTubing, that was still the big lore that I was going with. So I had actually started off as a spacefaring adventurer / bounty hunter VTuber.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then, eventually, I started coming to think, I had this inkling in my mind, like, I don't think I'm doing enough to really stand out. Like, what about my character design, wearing a red jacket and black shirt, really sets me apart from the others? And that was around the time that I was also rediscovering my love of tokusatsu. And I had that idea keep rolling around in my head over and over, like, maybe I should be a tokusatsu themed VTuber. Maybe I should be a superhero VTuber. You know what? Screw it. I'm gonna contact my live 2D modeler and tell them I want to be a super tuber. And that was how I got my initial VTuber model as a superhero, which I debuted May of last year, if memory serves. And that was the 1.0. And then eventually, I met a 3D modeler, Supamika, who does amazing work. And I asked her, hey, if I commission you, can you translate this into 3D and give me a toggle between...
And that led to your current model, right?
No, that was my 1.0 model.
Oh, your 1.0. Oh, which...
Right.
By the way, I just want to bring up, how you started out with like discovering your, rediscovering your love for tokusatsu and then becoming a superhero because you want to stand out more as a VTuber. That was a similar thing that happened with me when I started out as a cat burglar VTuber and I became a superhero cat burglar VTuber, especially around the time where I started watching more Kamen Riders. So we kind of had a similar journey with discovering our superhero personas.
Are you my long lost brother?
I mean, you. Okay, this is really funny because I'm wearing a blue shirt right now. You got red. I'm thinking, are we dating Virgil right now?
Oh,
Dante, pizza is shit. You must have buried delight.
Screw that, Virgil. I'm gonna force feed you this pizza, and you're gonna love it.
If you want me to try it, then you'll have to force me.
Sounds like a date. Let's rock.
Dokoro says, you gotta play Devils Never Cry Now. I freaking love that song.
Yeah. I still need to sit down and like really play through Devil May Cry 3 because I got the Devil May Cry collection. I played through a bit of Devil May Cry 1 and it's okay, but it didn't really click with me in the same way that Devil May Cry 5 did. I'm thinking maybe, and everybody keeps saying that I probably shouldn't bother with Devil May Cry 2. I might try it just to save my morbid curiosity, but I'm thinking that maybe if I was to try Devil May Cry 3, like, that will click with me in the same way that Devil May Cry 5 did.
So, okay, so as someone who's played all the Devil May Cry games, I went and revisited Devil May Cry 2, and I ended up appreciating not just Devil May Cry games, but really just video games in general. I'll say that much.
Real gamers don't skip Devil May Cry 2. Noted. I will definitely give Devil May Cry 2 a shot then. I mean, it can't be that bad. The Devil May Cry 2 model of Dante is the one that they used in Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne, so...
Oh, yeah. Honestly, as much as Devil May Cry 2 gets a lot of flack, he has a pretty awesome outfit in DMC 2. And sometimes I'll even see people use that outfit as a mod in Devil May Cry 5, which, I always appreciate seeing anyway. Freaking love mods in DMC. Yeah. Oh, actually, so back to the whole model thing. So you have your 2.0. Could you remind us again when you debuted that and why you decided to get a new model?
Yes, I actually debuted this earlier in the month on August 2nd. And there are two reasons why I wanted to get the 2.0 model. One was that I wanted to show off my face a bit more than I was with the original 1.0 3D model, which was more stylized after Kamen Rider. So it had like the full face helmet, but with animated eyes. So I did have a bit of expressiveness to it. But I was thinking, I want to show my face a little more. And it was also around that time that I started looking more into Ultraman, which if you look at my 2.0, you can probably notice. Yeah, yes, you can definitely see the Ultraman inspiration in the 2.0 model.
Yeah, and which I'll admit, I'm really biased towards this design because of the Ultraman influences.
Yeah.
Yep, and we'll continue.
In particular, I was inspired by the Netflix Ultraman, which I understand if it's not everybody's bag, because it doesn't have a lot of what makes Ultraman distinct, like the superheroes turning into giants. But I have to admit, I really fucking love the suit designs in the Netflix Ultraman series.
Yeah, actually, as someone who likes Ultraman, I also enjoy the Netflix anime series. Because, even though Ultraman is not a giant in that series, it still has a lot of what I enjoy about the Ultra series in general. Like, aliens and how the humans, try to, deal with, the creepy, weird stuff that goes on with said aliens. And obviously, you still have Ultraman being a hero, flying around, shooting spacium rays and all that. Yeah, I really like that a lot. And, it just ends up being... When you shrink down Ultraman, it just feels like it's that nice little overlap between that franchise and Kamen Rider, since, mass outfits and all that. Which, hey, again, I don't mind because I like both franchises. It's just chocolate and peanut butter to me by that point.
And one thing that's definitely underappreciated about Ultraman is I get that everybody gets a bit bristly when someone makes an anime that's in that's 3D CGI. I still have terrible flashbacks of the reboot of Berserk.
Oh, yeah.
But the fighting animation in the Ultraman anime is actually pretty good. I think it was motion capture too.
I think so, yeah, from the way that they move. And also, admittedly, when it comes to CG anime, I don't mind CG anime as long as it's done well and it doesn't look too stiff and choppy like with earlier attempts at CG animation. Because, you know, like, obviously animators are still learning and, you know, refining it and trying to stylize it in some way. And finally, a bunch of studios out there have found the sauce, especially the studio that worked on Beastars and the Trigun reboot. Yeah, so 3D is not inherently bad, guys. Especially when you look at Stargazer's model right here. He's the second 3D VTuber that I've invited here.
Yeah. 3D VTubing is actually something that I've seen very common among Western VTubers in particular. Like, I've seen that live 2D tends to be mostly used, like, among Japanese VTubers, and I can kind of see the appeal of that because it really does look like anime in motion, live 2D. But I found that a lot of Western VTubers also like to use 3D, and you know what? I started off as live 2D after I graduated from my PNG tuber model, which, fake aside, PNG tubers are valid VTubers, and anybody who says otherwise, you don't need that kind of negativity in your life.
As someone who started off as a PNG tuber in the beginning, yeah, I agree. And occasionally I'll still use a PNG if, say, like, oh, I can't run VTube Studio and my game at the same time. I'll fall back on one of the PNGs that I've drawn. Plus, you know, it's easier to make rather than make a full live 2D model. Even though I'm proud to make live 2D models myself.
Yeah, maybe I should do something like that the next time I want to stream Mecha Break, because that game is pretty system intensive.
Yeah. I've run the game on my RTX 3060. It's definitely pretty intensive. I had to like tweak a few things.
Right. Yeah. But ever as always, I am digressing. But yeah, I found that I come to much more enjoy being a 3D VTuber because it allows me to be a lot more animated in how I move, as you can see.
Yep. Ooh, actually, so I thought about having a 3D model as well. I don't know when or how it'll even look, but I am interested in doing 3D content because I'll sometimes see VTubers do full body motion capture with their 3D models, and you know, seeing your content and how you even like do a bunch of poses for your opening sequences. I thought that was really cool. And you know, I've been singing, dancing a lot in my free time, and sometimes I think, what if I had a 3D model and try to do a dance cover of Sengoku Basara?
Oh, if you do go 3D, you absolutely should do something like that.
Like, I'll see a bunch of dances in Tokusatsu, especially in Gojuju, I'm like, I want to do that and show off to people. But then I stopped and remember, wait, I'm a VTuber. I should get a 3D model.
Yes. That's another thing that I really love about being a 3D model, about having a 3D model, is that you've probably seen my thumbnails for the streams that I post on Blue Sky when I'm promoting my streams ahead of time. And I love coming up with the little poses and the little facial expressions in VRM posing that I use for making my thumbnails. That's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's always nice to be able to change things up with your poses and whatnot. Well, in my case, as a live 2D model user, I just had to take different pictures of my expressions and angles and changing up the toggles of my outfit. So that's usually my options as a live 2D model user. But yeah, there's clearly different things you could do with either 3D or live 2D, which, hey, you know, I think is really cool. Oh
yeah, they both have their. Oh, go ahead.
Yep. Yeah, I was about to say one other use I want to have for a 3D model. I want to find a modder and have them put my 3D model in Devil May Cry 5 as a playable character. Put it over like maybe like Dante, or actually like just all the characters except maybe not V, because I don't play V much.
Yeah, I've tried playing as V. He doesn't really click with me nearly as much as the other characters do.
Yeah, most people usually agree, and I noticed that a lot of the people who do like using V are usually newcomers, where they'll find him easier to control than Dante, and I don't blame them because you just mash the familiars buttons and suddenly you get triple S rank and blow shit up.
Yeah, Dante is definitely a learning curve I have found, but once you start really getting into it with Dante, it feels really good to play as him.
Yeah, well, assuming you have the endurance and dexterity in your fingers.
Right, like, I will admit I don't really do the crap pinch when I play Devil May Cry.
But I can! Double claw grip, baby!
Yeah, well, that's because you're a freak, man.
Yeah, like, okay, I don't know if you saw this before, but I once did a hand cam stream where I showed off my hands doing the claw grips, and I've even had someone ask, don't your hands hurt? And at first I thought, like, are they supposed to hurt? But then I started to remember that I already hurt my hands from playing a lot of God Hand. Yeah, so that was the case. Ooh, Dokoro says, the 3D model makes things like concerts and performance better and easier, not gonna lie. Yeah, see, exactly. Oh, Stargazer,
yeah.
Okay, have you ever done any dances with your model yet, or no?
Not yet, but I had thought about it. I just need to actually sit down and figure out which dance do I want to do.
You could try the Gojuture dance.
I could try that. Another thing I could do the gang torture dance from JoJo Part 5.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the torture dance sequence.
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of iconic moments in the JoJo franchise, but that's definitely one of the more memorable ones.
Yes, and if you do get a 3D model, I very highly recommend that you look up a free-to-play game called VRAS. What it basically is it's a simple 2D fighting game that allows you to import Vroid models into the game.
Yeah, I remember you playing that for a stream, and you were even calling out your own attack names.
That might have been my 1.0 3D model debut stream, yeah.
Yeah, I remember now. It was with your old model. I didn't see your 2.0 yet by that point.
Right.
Yeah. Also, it's kind of funny that... Okay, so, as far as I can tell with, like VTubers calling out their attack names, like, other than myself, you're the other person that I know that does that.
Yeah, and you know what? You inspired me to pick up that particular quirk.
Wow, guys, I am a bad influence.
I even started. Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. I even started doing that. Like, even when I'm not streaming, I find myself doing that with particular games. Like, I started playing Gravity Circuit recently. And when I was using the burst techniques on that, I was calling out the burst techniques, like Heavenly Pole Driver! Or Erupting Beam!
Yeah. Okay, so yeah. I'll admit, when I first started out calling out some of my attack names on stream, well, okay, this was as far back as, I think this was my 2.0 days. I'm currently in my 4.0, but anyway, this was when I was still a Catburger VTuber. I started streaming my action games more, and, the harder the fights were that I was getting into, the more hyped I was with trying to win, and it got to the point where I started to call out some one-liners and motivational speeches, and eventually I started coming up with attack names, and sometime before that I started thinking, maybe it's time that I become a superhero if I'm doing very superhero-y things.
Yes.
Like I still remember during one of my early Metal Gear Rising streams, and I'm fighting Armstrong. This is from one of my most iconic clips, by the way, where I'm like, go platinum! And then I get my sword out and I say to Armstrong, let me show you how I cut diamonds!
Ooh, nice.
Yeah.
I also streamed Metal Gear Rising, and Well, this was during my live 2D days when I had my live 2D superhero model. I hadn't done any attack name callouts. However, during the scene where Raiden is reduced to just trying to punch Armstrong, I was straight up doing the Kenshiro battle cry.
I think your mic cut out there, but I know what you're talking about. The one that goes,
Yeah.
What the?
Your mic just cut out for me too.
What the heck? Okay, chat, did you guys at least hear my battle cry? But anyway, yeah, actually, I kind of did something similar during that punching sequence, but instead I was doing the Dio Giorno Muda Muda thing. So I was like, Muda 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 Muda! And you know, some of my friends who never watched JoJo's, like, they were like, what the fuck, Tabby?
Yeah, I found myself more and more doing JoJo battle cries too, but I'm using Jotaro's battle cry of and the amazing thing about that is, even if some of my viewers don't remember that from JoJo, they probably heard Knuckles doing it in Sonic Adventure 2 when he was digging, so they would appreciate that particular battle cry for a completely different but equally valid reason.
Oh my god, like, Knuckles is a JoJo's reference. I apologize if anyone finds that cringy, where it's like, oh my god, is that a motherfucking JoJo's reference? Bring y'all back to the 2010s, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, also, Gamma Churchill says there are two types of people in this world: those who call out their attack names, cool people, and those who don't, uncool people. So what Gamma is saying is that Tokusatsu is the peak of coolness.
Abso-fucking-lutely. Sonic is just a JoJo reference when you really think about it. I think Dokuno may be onto something here.
Yeah, like I don't know, maybe Sonic is Jotaro and Shadow is Dio.
I mean, Chaos Control basically is Sawado when you think about it.
Really? Okay. Confession, I have very minimal experience with the Sonic franchise, so I don't really know too much about the lore or, you know, the deeper backstories of the characters beyond just what I see on the service. And the only Sonic games that I've played are one of the Sonic racing games, Sonic Fighters. It's on the Game Boy Advance. I have very fond memories
Sonic
of that
Battle. I know the exact one that you're talking about.
Sonic Battle. There we go. With the robot that can copy everyone's moves and you can customize his movesets. I thought that was hella sick.
It's actually Dragon Ball, but don't tell anyone I said that.
Oh,
okay.
Okay, and the other game that a couple of other games I've tried out: Shadow the Hedgehog. Yes, really. And Sonic Frontiers. Okay, Sonic Frontiers I only got because a very close friend and I were watching some combo videos, and I showed them one with Sonic Frontiers, and they were like, how the heck do you do that? And you know, when I expressed interest in trying out Sonic Frontiers to do the combos myself, they gifted the game to me once the game was on sale. So thanks, bestie.
Sonic Frontiers was a really good game, but basically, the lore behind that is Chaos Control is a special ability that Shadow is really good at using, which distorts space-time, and it does whatever the plot needs it to. Sometimes it's used to teleport, and sometimes in certain games it's used to stop the flow of time.
Does it ever reverse time or like skip time, or is that it?
It does go back in time in Sonic the Hedgehog 2006, but we don't talk about Sonic the Hedgehog 2006.
Oh, in that case, we gotta use Chaos Control to go back in time and warn people about Sonic 06.
Oh, don't worry, it wrote itself out of the continuity. Yeah, as you can see, I am in the deepest, dankest layers of the Sonic hole.
Well, yeah, I can tell. Yeah, I have quite a few friends who are Sonic fans themselves, and you know, I don't really see myself being a hardcore Sonic fan, but I'll admit they have some pretty sick tracks that I'll sometimes add into my playlist whenever I'm doing combos in Devil May Cry, for example.
Yes, basically everything that Crush 40 touches in terms of Sonic music, absolute gold.
Yeah, which I cannot but wonder, how the hell did we go from like a 2D platformer with like really catchy Genesis music to like full blown out rock music and then you know, all the crazy Dragon Ball battles and all that? It's insane.
So happens, for the first two Genesis Sonic games, they actually had a pop star composing the music. Masato Nakamura of Dreams Come True, which is a really, really big pop group in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, Michael Jackson allegedly, and it actually has been confirmed, did help out a little bit with the Sonic 3 soundtrack.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Alright. Oh, actually, this whole idea of Sonic just like having those more humble beginnings and then doing a lot of crazy stuff later on is kind of remind me of how some VTubers will, where they'll start off as one thing, but like they'll either rebrand or evolve their concepts, which honestly it kind of fits what we kind of do with our VTubers, which, you know, I kind of get it, guys. Not everyone has everything figured out when they start, well, literally anything, especially VTubing. Right. I mean, heck, I know some people are still figuring things out even after a couple of years of streaming, but I think we're like totally lucky to have really cool inspirations that make us go, oh man, I want to be this thing, and then somehow end up sticking with it or make it work in the long run, rather than, oh, let me start from scratch and I can't use these assets anymore.
Right, like the old Space Marine Bounty Hunter thing, I still have that as a part of my official lore. So I never completely retired that. It's just now just another part of my new superhero lore.
Yeah, same deal with me being a cat burglar and then a superhero, but I still keep the cat burglar motif because okay, so I don't know if you guys noticed. Let me put my super suit back on. Okay. Yeah, so this diamond right here, that's part of my cat burglar motif. Not to mention the way that I talk about, like, you know, like gold, platinum, and all that. So, you know, again, like precious metals and wealth and all that. It ties into part of my theme as a VTuber. And, you know, obviously, like, tigers are big cats and cat burglar and all that. You know, all that shebang. And also, I gotta admit, Star, I really like your sci-fi, alien, space, theme that you got going on with your superhero, because, you know, I also like sci-fi. I already mentioned that I like Kamen Rider, but I also really like Superman and his, him being an alien superhero, and not to mention, I really like sci-fi movies, like, you know, like, I have my favorites, like Blade Runner 2045, or, you know, or the new Dune movies, but I also go back and watch some retro movies, like RoboCop and the Terminator movies.
I'd buy that for $1.
Oh, man, yeah. Like, I didn't think that meme came from RoboCop. Guys, I watched RoboCop for the first time a few weeks ago, and in my opinion, it holds up so well with its mix of tragedy and campiness in a cyberpunk story.
Yeah, the original RoboCop still holds up well. RoboCop 2 also holds up well for I wouldn't even say the most part, but do not watch the 2014 RoboCop remake. It sucks ass. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, unfortunately, I did see that, and, you know, while I understand that it's a remake or reboot, you know, even before I grew a few more brain cells as a kid back then, right. I didn't really think that movie stood out much. It just felt like what I normally expect from a bunch of other Hollywood movies at the time, or even afterwards.
Yeah, it doesn't even have the Auto 9 pistol, just a generic taser gun.
Oof.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. RoboCop 2 still stands up a little bit, and mostly because of the fact that you get the feeling when you watch it that the people who are working on the movie didn't exactly like the idea that they were making a RoboCop sequel, so they thought, you know what, we're gonna take the whole concept of trying to make another RoboCop and make that a plot point, and to show that you can't really capture bottled lightning twice.
Okay, yeah, you've got me really curious to watch RoboCop 2 sooner. It's gonna be either that or I check out Predator next.
Ooh, Predator is a very good one too.
I would hope so.
Whatever you do, though, do not watch RoboCop 3. That one you can safely skip.
I'll think about that. Oh, also, Dokoro says there's also cat burglar superhero precedents in the Mexican comic book version of Fantomas? Huh. I did not know that, but also, it's nice to see more cat burglar heroes other than me. And, well, you know, obviously there are Phantom Z's like Lupin III, one of my biggest inspirations for my initial VTuber concept.
The Lupin Rangers from Lupin Ranger v Pet Ranger.
Right, yeah, that one as well. I've been meaning to watch more of that show too. Yeah, maybe
after it, but then I got distracted by something else. But I still really love Lupin Ranger v versus Pet Ranger.
Yeah, like I love the concept of two separate like Sentai groups while also having the monster of the week, so having your three-way battle, and just having that thief and cop dynamic between the two groups. It's always fun for me to watch. I know that's a cliche in the heist genre, but certain tropes exist for a reason. It's just fun to see in different stories.
Exactly.
Yeah.
RoboCop 3 stands out for me because it was written by Frank Miller, who wrote Daredevil Born Again and The Dark Knight Returns. Did he now?
Huh. I did not know that.
I never would have known because it was so terrible. Like RoboCop 3.
Jeez. Man, I'm trying to think of about terrible movie sequels, but honestly, I've been so picky with what movies I check out here and there, and it just, I don't know. I guess after seeing what my family watches and getting a good feel for what sort of movies I don't like, I kind of developed that sixth sense of like, oh, okay, which other movies do I want to check out and all that. Oh, any Terminator after the second sucks. Okay, I was very cautious about that one because when I saw Terminator 2, I was like, oh man, this is literally one of the best movies ever. How could they possibly make it better than this? Like that little nagging voice at the back of my head was like, it's probably gonna go downhill from here. You either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Yeah, they've not been able to recapture that magic since. Terminator 3, I enjoy, but it wasn't as good as the other movies. Terminator Salvation was kind of meh. The only Terminator movies that are worth watching are the ones that at least have Arnold in it, because let's face it, Arnie made that movie franchise.
Yeah, and honestly, because of Terminator 2, I keep calling the good Terminator Uncle Bob. I'm like, Uncle Bob is the GOAT! Yes. Bob's my GOAT!
Yes. One Terminator sequel that I do sort of kind of appreciate, though, is the anime Terminator Zero.
Oh my god, yeah. Okay, so I actually did watch Terminator Zero, and that was the anime series that convinced me to check out the Terminator movies.
Right, and one thing that I really appreciated about that is how they wrote the story in a way that explains the often conflicting nature of movies after Terminator 3 by basically saying that time travel is not a precise science, and nobody's got it really down pat, because according to the anime, when you travel back in time, you don't travel back to the past, you travel back to a past from which a new timeline is created. So basically, any time that Skynet or Legion or whatever the big AI villain is sends a Terminator back in time to kill the Resistance leaders, it's not going to do shit for its present timeline.
Right, yeah, so it pretty much explained that like you're not changing the past, you're just traveling to an alternate timeline and basically affecting a brand new universe, which honestly, I prefer that type of time travel a lot in my time travel stories. Like I prefer either alternate timelines that coexist with one another, or a time loop where everything just lines up together to lead up to whatever future that the characters have come from. And I'm a huge stickler for consistent time travel rules because you know you kind of want to make sure that the stakes are believable. So I very much appreciate that with Terminator Zero.
In Marvel, time travel creates different Earths, like 2099 is the 616 universe, but is Earth 928. It definitely sounds convoluted.
Oh. Yeah. Shit, what was I gonna say? Oh, yeah, I was about to say that superhero multiverse stuff, I don't know, it's very convoluted and hard to follow. And okay, look, I love sci-fi, I love high concept stuff like time travel and multiverse and all that, but if I just want a story where I get a good payoff and I have to worry about extended material and all that, then you know, trying to follow a comic book continuity for like Marvel or DC just too much for me. I'll just look for a
Yeah.
limited run or an Elseworld story, whatever is some non-canon short story. I just want to enjoy the character, not how everything connects in one big continuity.
Yeah, the Marvel and DC. Really love Marvel and DC superheroes, but the comic storylines are way too complex for me to follow. It's why, for the most part, I tend to stick with the movies and the other media like video games and the one comic book that I did enjoy, and it's gonna be funny. The one comic book that I did enjoy, as far as superhero comics goes, DC and Sonic.
Oh right, yeah, they came out a little while ago. I've actually been meaning to check that out because from the character interactions that I've seen, like Shadow and Batman, they're both brooding and share a tragic past. I'll admit that intrigued me. I want to go and check that out.
Yeah, and the friendly rivalry between Flash and Sonic is it's so natural. I'm surprised they didn't come up with it sooner.
Yeah, and anyway, yeah, I do agree with just enjoying superhero media outside of comic book, whole continuities and all that. And sometimes I just want to enjoy a quick little superhero adventure with characters that I know, I love, and I'm familiar with. And sometimes I'll just pick up a random issue at my comic book store and I'll be like, oh, you know what, I'll just pick up this issue of World's Finest and just enjoy this one issue, give it a quick read, and then move on. And besides, if something kind of confuses me with cameos or something like that, if I'm I don't know, watching a superhero movie, I could just wiki who these characters are.
Right.
Yeah.
It's also a big reason why I am such a big, massive fan of the Insomniac Spider-Man games, because first and foremost, I am very, very biased towards Spider-Man. He is my favorite comic book superhero.
He's a very good hero, yes.
Yeah, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. But it's also its own concise story. Each story in the game is self-contained, even if they do put up little teasers for future stories, which everybody likes to do these days. But they conclude the stories. They don't leave anything on a cliffhanger, because I am still to this day very sore about the cliffhanger that ended with Mega Man Legends 2, which we are never going to get resolved.
So I've heard.
Yeah.
I enjoyed Mega Man Legends 1. Well, okay, I didn't beat it, but I enjoyed what I played so far. So to hear that there was a cliffhanger in Mega Man Legends 2 and then not follow up on that, it's come on, guys, what are we even doing? It's actually one of the reasons why I really dislike certain game series where it's we're going to make this a whole trilogy, but you're not gonna get a satisfying answer for how many years. It's actually one of my gripes with Final Fantasy VII Remake trilogy, but that's kind of another can of worms for me anyway.
Did you hear Mega Man now has AI NFTs now? Thanks, I hate it!
Wait, where, when, and how?
Yeah.
Yeah. It actually reminds me of how, what was it? I think I remember the last time I heard about Tomonobu Itagaki, guy who used to be the director of the Ninja Gaiden games at Team Ninja before he went off to do his own thing. He didn't really do jack shit except for one game, and then he tried to get into the whole NFT thing with his game career, but as you can see, that practically went nowhere.
Yeah, I hadn't even heard anything about that. That's probably how badly he flubbed it with the NFTs.
Yeah. Oh, actually, going back to... Right, you were talking about Insomniac Spider-Man being more self-contained. So...
Right.
So, yeah, that actually reminded me of a point that I wanted to bring up. So, look, superheroes like Spider-Man, Superman, they've existed for several decades, and various generations have come and gone. And so what I like with my favorite superhero stories is that they'll take a familiar character but have it in a self-contained story like what you just mentioned, and let the writers of the time kind of do their own thing with reinterpreting that character. I mean, obviously don't interpret it too far where you forget what makes that character special. I love Superman, but if no matter what good things I could say about something like Man of Steel, for example, it's nowhere near what I enjoy with Superman, Superman being more wholesome and setting good examples and all that. And yeah, Gamma, I especially dislike Injustice and the idea of Superman's only interesting when he was bro, No.
No, Evil Superman is interesting as a what-if scenario. Like what they
Yes.
actually did with one episode of the Justice League, which wound up inspiring the Injustice series. But having an actual jackass Superman, we already have an entire whole ass series about it. It's called The Boys.
Yeah, exactly. And not only that, if anyone wants like an evil Superman, then we kind of already have that in Superman stories themselves. Look at General Zod. You can even see that in the Man of Steel movie and one of the Christopher Reeves movies. So it's not like it's some obscure character that the normies wouldn't have seen or heard of.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, Gamma says, I really do not get the appeal of Injustice in Zack Snyder's Superman because it is not Superman. Yeah, it's definitely not. I just chalk it up to, Zachary and the people working on Injustice just kind of doing their own thing with a character that just looks like Superman and has the same powers as Superman, but is not Superman.
Right. At the very least, it felt like people who were working on the Injustice games understood the assignment for the most part, because at least with the first Injustice game, you also had like the Prime Universe Superman, who is still the good, wholesome Superman that we all know.
Yeah, I almost forgot about that. Thank you for reminding me. Yeah, at least they still have like separate Superman to show that. Yeah, the Superman that love, it technically still exists.
Right. Zack Snyder, he did not understand the assignment.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, people like Zack Snyder are better off just kind of doing their own thing with their own characters. And in fact, this is the same complaint I have with the Netflix Devil May Cry series. Like, Adi Shankar is clearly doing his own thing with characters who are not like what we know in Devil May Cry. Bro, just work on season 2 of Captain Laserhawk or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I was initially hyped about it, and then after watching it, I was like,
yeah,
and then I found out more about Ari Shankar, and I'm like, yeah, the only way that I'm going to be watching the second season is if I sail on the high seas. I am not shelling out another Netflix subscription for this.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I have family where I could just mooch off of their Netflix, but at the same time, I have my options for sailing the high sea as well. Set sail for the One Piece!
Yes!
Yeah, but anyway, this is kind of like the possible slippery slope when you have people just like try to work on other superheroes. Like, if they end up misinterpreting like certain longtime characters like that, then it's about time they just try and do their own thing, like
Captain Laserhawk.
Yeah, exactly. Pretty much. And okay, I would also apply this to VTubing as well, because a lot of people like to follow trends and all that, and like maybe they want to be like the next. Okay, I'm very terrible with naming like popular VTubers because apparently I live under a rock. But I always tell people, don't try to be like this person or that person and expect to get big numbers, because you're competing with someone who is pretty much not you. Like, be the best version of you. You ever wonder why I call myself the #1 tiger thief?
Because there aren't any other tiger thieves to compete against.
Exactly, yeah. Like, there's only one of me, so I gotta be the best version of myself.
Yes. When I went into VTubing, I went into it with realistic expectations. I was like, I'm not going to be the next Mori Calliope. I am not going to be the next Iron Mouse. I'm probably not even going to be the next Andrea. I'm going to be like Miles Morales. I'm just going to do my own thing.
Exactly, yes. Guys, don't try to pretend to be Peter Parker. Be a Miles Morales.
Yes. When are they going to add Miles Morales to Marvel Rivals?
Huh. Wait. Actually, not just Marvel Rivals. I actually wouldn't mind if they add him in Marvel Tokon.
Oh, yes, they
yeah, because, if they could add in, like, one of the other Ghost Riders, someone that apparently I didn't hear about before, then, surely they could reserve a slot in the fighting roster for Miles Morales, especially when he has his own powers different from Peter Parker.
Yeah, I'd actually heard of the alternate Ghost Rider, Robbie Reyes, from playing Marvel Midnight Suns, which, if you haven't played it, you absolutely should. It's not an action-y game, but it's very, very fun.
Yeah, I heard that it's actually a strategy game, which, actually, I love strategy games. Now, I know a lot of people watch my streams and just see me do action, and you know, it's kind of my niche. But also, I love strategy games like Final Fantasy Tactics and and I'm trying to think. Okay, Disgaea, definitely. And I played like some XCOM, and whenever people are like, "Oh, this is bullshit RNG," I'm like, you guys know that 99% chance to hit something means that you have a random chance of missing something by 1%, and you know, RNG is absolute chaos. I really hate when people look at the probability and, you know, they're mad that probability is not guaranteed. Right. Go back to grade school, guys!
Yeah. But yeah, you definitely should check out Marvel Midnight Suns. It's like a slightly more fair XCOM, because I also played XCOM. I played XCOM 2. I love those games, but they absolutely will kick your teeth in. And Professor Ramses also has the right of it. Miles Morales is also in Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, but he is considered a distinct character from the original Spider-Man, Peter Parker. And you can actually have them both on the same team, along with Spider-Gwen, who is also her own character. So you can have an entire team of spider people, if you want to include Venom, because Venom technically counts as a spider person.
Right.
So yeah, if they could do it for Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, I see no reason why they can't make Miles Morales his own character in both Marvel Rivals and Marvel Tokon.
Right. It's actually kind of interesting how we have various spider people, or like, you know, like characters that are adjacent to, you know, to the spider identity, like Venom, for example, and yet they kind of stand out in their own way. Like, you know, like Peter is Peter, like Gwen is Gwen, Miles is Miles, and like Venom is like, I don't know, whoever is the host. But but anyway, it just goes to show that like you could take a certain concept but put your own spin on it. I mean, you know, again, this, you know, the whole superhero thing kind of goes back to VTubers, because again, there's a huge overlap between superheroes and VTubers. And yeah, like you and I, we're both superhero VTubers, and yeah, we kind of have different motifs. We, you know, we clearly have different personalities here and there, and you know what we do on stream to engage with our audience. So whenever I see other superhero VTubers, I'm not like, oh no, they're copying me. It's more like, oh, I wonder what, you know, how they stand out as a superhero, you know?
Yes, I see them and I think to myself, I wonder if I can make on my own Justice League with these people.
Yeah. Or maybe form a VTuber Sentai group. Actually, wait, I think I've seen like maybe 1 or 2 VTubers that did the whole like Sentai gimmick thing, which, you know, I wouldn't be opposed to trying something like that, but like with a different VTuber thing. But you know, that's something that I'll have to actually think about later down the line. Yeah. Oh, actually, it's kind of funny how, you know, we're cool with seeing other superhero VTubers, but like when it comes to like, say, VTubers, for example, then suddenly everyone's like, oh no, they're copying me, they're doing this and they're that. I had this original like horn idea or whatever. It's like, guys, please, y'all just bond together all to find different inspirations or something, you know?
Yeah. I didn't have any particular inspirations from VTubers when I was getting started as a VTuber. Like I said, I was doing my own thing. And then I thought, and then I decided, you know what, I'm going to do my own other thing. I'm going to be a super tuber. I'm going to do tokusatsu. And then I came across U-Tabs and I'm like, I want to be him.
Oh no, guys, I'm a bad influence.
Bad influence or best influence?
Oh no. Oh man. But yeah, guys, when it Gamma's interested in being VTuber. Well, okay, for anyone who's watching and you guys are interested in being VTubers, so here's my advice. Take inspiration outside of VTubing. Like, you know, like see what other creators do that don't necessarily involve having an anime avatar, because then you'll start to notice things like, oh, this is really interesting. Maybe I could apply that to VTuber streams and content somehow. Now, one of my inspirations for my content as a VTuber is, well, okay, like obviously we talked about superheroes and all of that. That much is clear, and how I try to make my streams feel like you're watching a superhero action show or something. But also, watching combo videos on YouTube of games like Devil May Cry and Bayonetta. Like, I would watch some of that stuff, and I would think, like, oh, that's so cool. I didn't know you could do that. And it's not like those people had to level up in Devil May Cry because, well, there's no leveling in Devil May Cry. It's just full control, skill, and knowledge, and all that study and practice, like, displaying all the crazy stuff that you're seeing in the videos. And that made me want to try and do something similar with my streams. And honestly, when it comes to doing action content, it's a lot more free form, and I'm able to do a lot of things to make things interesting, mix things up, other than just, oh, I finished the playthrough. Moving on. Yeah. Actually, I'm curious now. Star, are there any content creators that actually, or any sort of videos or forms of entertainment that inspired you with how you do VTubing? Because I mean, we already know how we got inspired with our VTuber content, but, like, you know, as far as what you do you have any influences that you could cite? Well, besides me, of course.
Well, yeah. The biggest influence would probably, of course, have to be Sonic the Hedgehog, just because Sonic the Hedgehog has been, like, a very big part of my life since I first got my hands on the Sega Genesis when I was a little kid. So that's a big part of what I try to... that's a big part of my VTubing identity that I also try to emulate, just being someone who takes things in stride, who tries to have fun, but who doesn't take any bullshit from people whom you shouldn't take any bullshit from.
Honestly, that's the best attitude I could ever hear and think of for just streaming in general, where you know how to have fun, you roll with the punches, and, you know, but when something bad happens, then, you know, clearly something needs to be done, and then the fun can continue.
Right, like, I don't often bring up, like, politics when I'm on stream, and I'm not going to do so right now. But anybody who follows me on my Blue Sky knows that I can be very vocal about things that I feel very strongly about. And, but when I put on my streams, I like to think of putting on my streams as, like, giving people, like, a port and a place to stop by and relax in the absolute maelstrom that is living through historic times.
Yeah, it's the same with me. Like, there's clearly political VTubers out there where they'll talk about and discuss this sort of thing. That's fun, especially if that's their area of expertise. And you know, you already know that there are things that I like to stand for, especially during my last charity event that happened, where I was like, the blazing heroes melt the villains of ice, which I'm very proud of that tagline.
Yes.
Yeah, but anyway, I also like to do the same thing where it's like, yeah, I will be serious off stream, but on stream, I like to give people the space to just forget their troubles with the real world, and then show them something awesome and hopeful, kick some ass while telling everyone to be a good person and don't discriminate. I mean, it's one of the reasons why I love Superman. More so now for the past 5 years, actually. I'm not going to specify what happened the past 5 years, but let's just say that Superman is always relevant during times like that. And, you know, even as far back as his conception.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah.
If you know the story of how Superman came to be, like, as a character, you know this stuff is evergreen.
Yeah. And honestly, after how complicated and even dark real life can be, what's wrong with having a wholesome superhero that, you know, that saves the day and gives the bad guys what they deserve, you know?
Yes, if anything, I would consider that to be punk these days.
Yeah, like that new James Gunn movie where they spell out punk. How like being kind and seeing the beauty in everyone is the real punk rock. And honestly, that lines up pretty well with how punk is very like anti-authoritarian and supporting you know, like diversity and humanity against the oppressors that just want to like take everything, you know? And honestly, even being a Phantom Thief or Cat Burglar is its own brand of being punk rock. Especially like heroic thieves like Zorro or Robin Hood.
Yes. Or William Tell.
Yeah, exactly. Like seriously, guys, like I always surprise people whenever I tell people I'm a cat burglar superhero, and they're always like, "How are you a cat burglar and a superhero?" Well, let's just say that sometimes heroes aren't always on the same side of the law, but like. Sometimes there's like, oh, like Robin Hood steals from the rich and gives to the poor and all that. That's one example, one obvious example.
Yes.
Oh wait, were you about to say something? Because I thought I might have interrupted you a little earlier.
I was just thinking, Lupin III straight up has a theme song where he says, and I quote, "I'm a superhero.
He's a superhero." I love that song. Yes. It's practically one of my theme songs.
Yes, that song is totally you.
Oh man. I mean, if I ever come up with a way to make a suit stand out somehow, to show that I'm a cat burglar, I could probably go back to something like that, but for now, I love rocking the jacket and the scarf.
Yes. And Gamma Churchill also brought up a couple of good examples, Red Hood and U.S. Agent.
Hey, okay, I've heard of Red Hood, but I don't remember, okay, I assume that's a vigilante since, like, Red Hood and U.S. Agent are in the same sentence.
U.S. Agent is basically Captain America if Captain America was more of an asshole, but not evil.
Oh, okay. I may be an asshole, but I'm not a dick.
Yeah.
Tater.
Pretty much.
Oh, man. Oh, wait. Gamma says, U.S. Agent is a character who was Captain America, but became U.S. Agent. His real name is John Walker. Oh, okay. I did not know that. Okay, so I'll admit, I have a lot of blind spots with my knowledge of Marvel Comics. I mean, okay, I have some blind spots with DC as well, but I think it's with Marvel I'm a lot more ignorant of.
Right. In the comics, he used to be known as the Super Patriot at first. Yeah, I think... Now, I could be wrong, because I'll admit that I also have my blind spots when it comes to Marvel lore, but I think he was, like, supposed to be a successor to Captain America, but he's not nearly as apple pie wholesome as Captain America.
I see.
And we're not talking, like, full-on evil Homelander territory here, just...
Oh, God, no.
No. Just somebody who Captain America would not really be approving of.
Oh, actually, that reminds me. I can't help but wonder why the evil Superman trope is so popular. Like, people often bring up The Boys, and then there's like Invincible. Even if you don't watch Invincible, then everyone knows the memes with Omni-Man, and they know who he is.
Yes, I really need to catch up on Invincible, and I think the idea is basically the idea that if you give somebody the power to basically be Superman, like anybody else other than Superman, there is a very good chance that they are going to take that power and they are going to abuse it to holy hell and back.
Right, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, but honestly, I never related to the idea of how people would be like Superman is boring or something like that, or that he's only interesting if he's evil, which, I always thought like, well, okay, in that case, how do you explain the popularity of superheroes like Ultraman, Kamen Rider over at Japan?
Yeah.
like they're a lot more wholesome, and if I don't know, maybe Superman could be a fan of tokusatsu because of how much more wholesome some of those franchises can be, especially Ultraman.
Yes, and as a matter of fact, Kamen Rider actually got his debut punching Nazis.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's straight up there in the lore. They had to change up a little bit of that when they did Shin Ultraman, because sometimes some tropes don't necessarily age as well, but that was the lore of the original Kamen Rider #1, that he was created by neo-Nazis and that he rebelled against neo-Nazis and he punched Nazis.
Yeah, and besides, in Shin Kamen Rider, you have like what, some cult of happiness or something like that, where they try to like control people in some shape or form. So I feel like that still kind of lines up with what Shocker was all about, even if they they're not necessarily explicitly Nazis. They're still kind of doing some of the same messed up stuff. Well, similar anyway.
Still very fascistic when you really think about it.
Yeah. Oh, Gamma says, I don't like how people say Superman is boring, then read the Batman where he's basically a Deus Ex Machina. Okay, so I could probably chalk up to maybe people just not really just missing the point of these characters and just look at their powers and skills and the stakes at face value. I remember some people would be like, oh, like, Superman's overpowered. Okay. Read a Superman comic where he's faced off against someone that's equally overpowered. Problem solved.
Or just watch the original Superman animated series, because even though Superman has his full kit of powers in the Superman animated series, he still frequently goes up against opponents that push him to his limits.
Yeah, and the new Superman movie, we see him get his ass kicked a lot more in that one because, you know, they actually introduced some interesting obstacles and villains for him, and Lex Luthor they write him in a way where it doesn't make sense for him to get, you know, have an edge over Superman, but still make the ways that Superman defeat Lex Luthor in the most cathartic ways possible.
As a matter of fact, when they were first marketing the new Superman movie, the opening shot was him getting his ass kicked so hard that he had to have Crypto drag him back to the Fortress of Solitude.
Yeah, so haters, good luck with the invincibility or overpowered allegations with that scene.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Ooh, actually, there's this one thing that I thought about with Superman related to the gaming and all that, and I kind of want to share with you. Right. I always thought that Superman would make a good JRPG.
How so? Do tell.
How so? Okay, so you've seen My Adventures with Superman, right?
Yes, love My Adventures with Superman.
Okay, so you've seen how Clark, like, how he started like not being Superman, but then you see his powers gradually grow, and then he learns to form the Superman persona, and then you know, obviously things will show some progression, both his powers and his experience as a hero, and his relationship with everyone around him and the bad guys. And you know what all that stuff with escalation reminds me of? A Japanese role-playing game like Dragon Quest.
Ooh, that's very true, because they did escalate very quickly in the second season with the introduction of the, at the time, evil Supergirl, although she's not so much evil as she is being manipulated, and the introduction of Brainiac.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, that's pretty much like either disc 2 of a Final Fantasy game or like the sequel in a JRPG series or something. So yeah, like that's why I think that Superman would make a good JRPG. And plus, you can have a bunch of quests where Superman will do a bunch of wholesome things for a bunch of the citizens and NPCs. Like, he already does that in the comics, and in Spider-Man you already have that with some of the side missions. So why not do that for a Superman JRPG and maybe get the Octopath team to work on it?
Yes, as a matter of fact, you mentioned Spider-Man, that dates all the way back to Spider-Man 2, because there were a whole bunch of things that you could do in that. Like, it's one of the most griped about side activities in the game, but in Spider-Man 2, you could go out of your way to rescue lost balloons for little children.
Yeah, like little stuff like that. Some people forget the hero part of superhero. They're distracted by the super part. Yes.
As a matter of fact, it's also something that they opened up with in Spider-Man Homecoming. Just Spider-Man doing small things. Like, did somebody lose their bike?
Yeah. And, you know, this also ties back to the new Superman movie where you see Clark protect literally everyone, even a random wild squirrel.
Ooh. Damn, I really need to see that Superman movie. I've been trying to see it for a while, but things keep happening all the time. I really need to. Do we know if it has a home release date yet or anything?
No, but there's a digital version. I'll hook you up later, okay?
All right, sounds good.
Yeah, with the help of Monkey D. Luffy. But seriously, guys, like, if you guys can still go see it in theaters and support it, like, you know, like, please do, because, you know, as much as I like to talk about my uncle Captain Jack Sparrow, like, sometimes you gotta vote with your wallet and, you know, make it clear what we want more of.
Yes, exactly. I bring superhero movies having into small stuff, which is why I love Thunderbolts, Superman, Fantastic Four, First Steps, especially the opening. That's another one that I really need to see.
Okay, yeah, actually, even though I've seen the new Superman movie, I have not yet seen Thunderbolts or Fantastic Four First Steps, but, you know, I like what I'm hearing about those other movies, and I do plan on checking those out. Like, okay, maybe I could probably do it this week, because I kind of need more time off of streaming this week.
Very fair. And let's be honest, everything that Pedro Pascal touches turns to gold.
Yeah, or at least makes it watchable. He was Joel in The Last of Us. But you know, even though I'm not a huge The Last of Us fan, I still appreciate Pedro Pascal whenever he's on screen.
Yes, he understood the assignment and he did the role very well. And if you're looking for something Pedro Pascal was in that's not necessarily The Last of Us, I also cannot recommend enough The Mandalorian.
The Mandalorian. Oh, dude, The Mandalorian it's really good.
Yeah. I can bring you in warm or I can bring you in cold.
Dude, I just love that they have Pedro Pascal in that, you know, in that Mandalorian outfit and what's essentially a space western or something. That's a vibe that I got out of it, which, you know, kind of lines up with the early inspirations of Star Wars anyway.
If you really like that kind of stuff, I also cannot recommend enough Star Wars Visions, the first season in particular. Very first episode of Star Wars Visions is basically what if they took the inspiration from Akira Kurosawa movies and made them even more overt?
Yeah, I saw the anthologies as well. And look, again, guys, this kind of ties back to what I really like about, you know, non-canon short stories of superhero comics or whatever. Like, that's the same logic applies whenever I'm watching an anthology series set in a particular universe, like Star Wars, Matrix, or, you know, the Halo games. Like, you get a little sample of that universe, but the creators of each of their own shorts are pretty much given the freedom to do their own spin on it without having to mess up with certain pre-existing characters most of the time. And I like that. Give people room to, you know, to exercise their creative muscle and expand the audience's horizons. In fact, whenever I watch these anthology series, it's kind of like a all-you-can-eat buffet of like, oh, what's this thing? What's this thing? Oh, I like this thing more. I'm expanding my tastes.
Yes. As a matter of fact, it helped to the Star Wars Vision shorts. They helped me to come to terms with something that I've been feeling about Star Wars for a long time. That Star Wars needs to start expanding a little bit further and start doing stories about more than just a family of like moisture farmers from Tatooine. We need to start a little less about the Skywalker clan and a little more about all the other people living in this big galaxy far, far away, which is one of the biggest strengths of the Visions anthology. And as a matter of fact, I had heard that they are actually going to make a full-blown anime series out of one of the shorts, The Ninth Jedi, which was also really good. It's like my second favorite short of the first season. My first favorite, of course, being La Pinocho. When are we getting our La Pinocho series?
Yeah. Well, we already have a Star Wars anime series confirmed. I forget which one, but like, or what it was called, but it's that short where they have the different colored lightsabers and it means something somehow.
The Ninth Jedi, that's the one.
Oh, shit. Okay, yeah, I'm terrible at listening. Okay.
It's fine.
Yeah. Oh, Doko says he has a hot take. What is your hot take about Star Wars, Dokoro? And see if you can get either one of us mad. I mean, okay, I'm probably not gonna get mad because I'm a very casual Star Wars fan.
And it's that Star Wars will never be as universally acclaimed as it was during the prequels era.
Wait.
You know what? The prequels, episodes 1 through 3. And you know what? I loved the prequel movies. Warts and all. Like, yeah, they have their flaws. They could have started to spend a little less time focusing on the trade disputes and a little more time on people actually doing some cool stuff. But they are still very important movies to see, if for no other reason than to see how Anakin Skywalker ends up becoming Darth Vader.
Yeah, I remember watching the prequel movies myself, and you know, I see what some people complain about with the prequels, but at the same time, it could have been worse. It could have been the Disney trilogy.
I spit on the Disney trilogy. And
Yeah,
I actually liked episode 7, but then after that, it started really falling off. People complain about Hayden Christensen. I think he did great. You know what? Now that I look back at the Star Wars trilogy, there was something else that I thought of that actually makes a lot of sense. The way that Hayden Christensen, and to an extent the kid actor who did Anakin in episode 1, the way that they portrayed Anakin Skywalker, it really works if you have the headcanon that Anakin Skywalker has autism spectrum disorder.
Okay, you know what? I will accept that headcanon. Yes. Autistic Star Wars, let's go!
Yes!
Oh.
The animated Star Wars stuff is good. Absolutely.
Okay, you know what? Fate, yeah, I agree. Like, okay, we just talked about, like, the Star Wars anime stuff, but also, there's the animated shorts by Genndy Tartakovsky, you know, the guy who created Dexter's Lab and Samurai Jack. You know, he made those anime shorts based on the Clone Wars. I loved watching those. Yeah, if you guys have never seen the, you know, like Tartakovsky Star Wars Clone Wars shorts, it's like, hey, what if it's Samurai Jack, but in outer space? That's it.
Even the more recent animated stuff has been really good. The Clone Wars, Star Wars Rebels especially. Like, one of the last episodes they did actually did a lot of justice for the character of Darth Maul, who was deemed so cool after his first appearance in episode 1 that they kept bringing him back in the animated series. And they actually did a very good send-off for Darth Maul towards the end of Star Wars Rebels.
Honestly, that's probably the one bit of fan service that I will accept, where it's like, instead of like, oh, hey, here's this old thing you remember from the movie, it's like, oh, hey, here's this completely badass red and black Darth Jedi or something, like, here's his double-bladed lightsaber. Enjoy the show, guys.
Yes, he was such a badass, they had to keep coming back.
Yeah.
Of course, they had to bump him up eventually because we never see him in any of the original trilogy or the sequel trilogy. But at the very least, they gave him one hell of a send-off.
Yeah. Also, speaking of pleasing the fans, so Dokoro says, if you try to appeal to all of them at the same time, you're just gonna get one of the worst movies of all time. Yeah, I agree. Like, guys, pick your audience and stick with it instead of like, ooh, we want to make sure that everyone likes it, no matter how divisive like some of y'all are gonna be about it.
Right, a movie, or for that matter, a game that's for everyone, is a movie/game that's for no one.
Yeah, exactly. Like, okay, I get that you know, maybe people want to have certain media be accessible, or like there's a little bit of something for everyone, and you know, I understand that. But also, everyone needs to realize that different people have different tastes. Like, no piece of media is going to appeal to every single person, but every piece of media is going to appeal to at least one person.
Yes.
Yeah, like, I enjoy my difficult action games, as well as like my weird artsy movies, like whatever Wes Anderson puts out. I know not everyone is going to gel with those, and you know, that's fine, because you know, stuff like that, those creators know who they're making their things for. And make your work accessible to anyone who wants to give it a try, but don't try to mold it in ways where you're trying to idiot proof it, or be worried that people are just not going to get it or something. Just understand who you're appealing to, and again, stick with that. Like, speaking as a VTuber, I knew who my target audience is. I mean, I don't always attract my target audience, but I try to find people who are like me with what I do. And Star, I assume that you kind of do the same since you do your own thing.
Yes, I do absolutely have my own audience that I strive to attract, and I succeed more often than I don't. It's a small audience, but it's a very loyal audience, so they are the people who I make the content for.
Yeah, exactly. Gotta attract the, you know, the real homies out there that'll appreciate what you do and talk about.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, like, okay, admittedly, I do want to attract a wider audience, but at the same time, I don't want to be like, ooh, I need to change what I do for all these people, where they're not gonna necessarily like Devil May Cry or something like that. But it's like, no, instead, what I try to do if I want to like keep doing what I do but grow my audience, I try to learn to be a good teacher or explain stuff, because yeah, you're not gonna learn all the stuff that I know overnight, but the least I could do is to at least explain my passions.
Right.
Yeah, and I would assume that Star, maybe you do the same thing, since you clearly love to explain the stuff that you love. You've been doing that a lot with this podcast.
Absolutely. I love nerding out about the things that I enjoy about Star Wars, since we've been talking about that, about Sonic the Hedgehog, about Yakuza, about voice actors. I have so much voice acting trivia in mind. And sometimes when I'm playing a game, I like to say, like, let's give an example. I was playing Veilguard a little while ago, and during one cutscene, when I recognized the voice, I was like, oh my god, it's Matt Mercer!
Yeah, sometimes I'll hear voice actors that I recognize, or at least voice actors that I know from like, the 2000s or something like that. But I try listening to like some of the newer voice actors, and I feel really out of touch, and I don't recognize most of them unless it's actually a few friends that I know who got into voice acting. Which, by the way, guys, shout out to all my friends who made it into voice acting. You're living the nerd's dreams.
I also want to try to get into voice acting one of these days, but for the time being, until I can do that, what I also really like doing is I like when a game doesn't have a voice acting in one particular bit, but it does have dialogue, or if I'm playing the Yakuza games and they're only in Japanese, read the subtitles, and I'll get in character for them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, usually when people ask me, it's like, hey, how do I get into voice acting? Well, simple answer is just voice act. The longer answer is try voicing over some scenes that don't have voiceover, like visual novels. Oh, also, also Dokoro says you missed the part where I talked about how pretty much every part of Star Wars is incompatible with each other. Okay, yeah, like if anyone tries to make something where like all the parts just conflict with one another, then yeah, it just ends up being really weird and annoying. Also, Fate says oh, they have a question. Okay, yeah. What do you want to ask Star?
I am all ears, or all eyes, as the case may be, since this is text. So ask
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, in fact, anyone can like ask us like, whatever question right now, especially. Okay. Oh, Star, have you played Starfield?
I have played Starfield. I've never gotten very far into Starfield, but I have played Starfield.
Oh, I've never played Starfield myself. I don't play Bethesda RPGs. I just like to watch from a distance and see what crazy mods people like to make for those games.
Check the arcade. Like, is there an arcade in Starfield? Better still, if there is an arcade in Starfield, does it actually have games that you can play? Oh, he's talking about it in my Discord. Okay.
Oh, in your Discord. Oh,
yeah, because I got a channel called The Arcade. Oh my god, they have Power Rangers in space mods for Starfield.
Wow. Oh, Gamma says, since we're talking about space stuff, can I say Marvel's cosmology is the best there is? Got the... Oh, yeah, a bunch of interesting stuff in Marvel's cosmology. I'll admit, I'm really biased towards Guardians of the Galaxy. Well, okay, half the reason is because I'm already a fan of James Gunn. And,
well, yeah.
Yeah, but also at the same time, I like the idea of a band of misfits, like sailing around on a ship helping people, like One Piece. Yeah, like okay, ever since I got into One Piece, even after I became a fan of Guardians of the Galaxy, I look back at Guardians of the Galaxy and I think to myself, that's One Piece in outer space. And Rocket Raccoon is Tony Chopper.
Yeah, Rocket Raccoon is searching for his One Piece. I thought if there is a Power Rangers mod, I need to find it for Star, and he found it. So yeah, thanks for pointing that out for me, Faye. I'll definitely be taking a look into that.
Yeah. Also, hello Akiko Kumagato. Welcome to the stream. This is actually a podcast right now, and my guest right now is StargazerKG, which you said you like space stuff. You should definitely go follow Stargazer, since he's a stellar superhero. He loves sci-fi, so I think you guys will gel pretty well.
I don't know that guy. She totally knows me. we're actually old acquaintances, but she's actually an old friend of mine, and she's been cool. She's very cool. So you should
okay.
So you should absolutely follow Akiko too.
Alrighty. Oh, also chat continuously tortures Star, mostly me. I mean, isn't that kind of normal when you have regulars in your chat that know which buttons to press?
Oh, you should see my chat. They know all the buttons to push.
Okay, I actually have. So one of my viewers would often joke about how, since I'm a superhero and I do a lot of like punching and all that apparently I owe the city in collateral damage, and I'm always like, that's the mayor's problem.
Every chance I get, and I lead an attack on Star. It's true, he does. I got like 3 different redeems where people attack me. One is where they just throw stuff at me. One is where they hit me with a bat. And one is where they just have Kazuma Kiryu throw a motorcycle at me.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. Yes, it says, Akiko says, I have 9 different buttons. And chat pushes all of them. Often at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's always funny to see how different VTubers will have different ways that chat will have their own in-jokes and, do a little bit of, like, playful bullying, but, like, not too hard of a bullying because, guys, remember, boundaries do still need to be set, but I'm just grateful that I still have an audience where even though there's, like, some light teasing, they still understand, not to make things too awkward, And that's something that I think everyone needs to remember to never to take for granted. If you guys stream and you have that kind of audience that understands when to be playful but without pushing things too far, then that is awesome. That's ideal, in fact. Also, Akiko, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the Heights Cat Burglar.
Yeah, Faye brought up a specific running joke that we have about the time that I got turned into a cat. When I'm on stream, I will always deny having been turned into a cat. But what that came from was when I did April Fools earlier in the year, and I streamed the game Stray. And, yes, and I was using the one of the default models that came with VTube Studio, the black cat. And all throughout, I was like, "What are you talking about? I'm not a cat. I'm not a cat."
Okay, so you probably saw this, but there was this one time during my subathon where I let chat reach a subathon goal where I turned into a cat girl.
Right. Nice.
Yeah, and they even raised enough of the subs to reach the goal where wait, hold on. Did I end up saying yeah? I don't remember if they reached the goal where I would just say yeah at the end of my sentences. Yeah, but I do have a clip where I'm a cat girl. I'm like yeah and stuff like that. Yeah.
You're finally admitting it. I admit nothing. Forget TB.
Yeah, forget it. Even though I'm gonna upload this VOD on YouTube later for everyone to rewatch.
Shit.
Yeah. Oh, actually, speaking of which, I think we've had a pretty good episode so far. You wanna like end things here, or is there anything else that you want to bring up before we conclude this episode?
Nothing I can think of right off the top of my head, unless there's something that you want to. Oh, Fate says that we're trapped in ad hell.
Oh, shit.
So we got about 90 seconds before we talk about something else. Oh, how about Fire Emblem 3 Houses?
Good night, everyone. I'm kidding.
See, this is what we've been talking about. We know what buttons to push.
Yeah, and Star knows like one of the video games that I'm angriest with the most.
and Tabs knows that it's actually the Fire Emblem that I enjoy the most.
Yeah, which, to be clear, guys, oh wait, ads are still playing. Oh well. For anyone who's still listening, like, just to be clear, if you guys hear me criticizing your favorite video game, just know that, like, either we have different tastes and that yours are still valid, or that I'm trying to offer constructive criticism. That's it. But other than that, I'm not here to validate people's opinions of like, oh, this is the best game ever. It's more like, I know what I like, I know what I dislike, and I'm not here to police anyone's idea of having fun, especially when it comes to a single-player game. I gain nothing from bullying you guys for playing a game that I'm going to forget about and move on.
Right. Well, not every game is for everyone. Some people like other games more than others. Like, me personally, I absolutely loved Fire Emblem Fates when I got it on 3DS. So you will never hear me say anything bad about Fire Emblem Fates.
Good.
Fire Emblem Engage, on the other hand, I didn't quite click with that quite as much as I did the other Fire Emblem games, especially Three Houses, because the story was the most engaging for me, and I really liked the idea of being able to sort of kind of customize the growth of my characters through the teaching system.
Yeah.
Sorry,
go ahead.
Yeah. But given how much you dislike the Persona games, I can understand why you wouldn't particularly care for Three Houses.
Yeah. Okay, so for anyone who just wants like the gist of how I feel about Fire Emblem, I felt that the series peaked with the Fire Emblem Fates trilogy, and then after that the games went downhill for me I'm not going to talk everyone's ears off about Fire Emblem right now, but I'm just gonna say that I felt like they stopped being strategy games and they focused more on being dating sim RPGs, which honestly, I know that there's a market for it, and I'm clearly not the target audience. And again, this goes back to the idea of people having different tastes and that no game is going to appeal to every single person.
Right.
Also, Gamma, you're wrong. Face has way better writing than Three Houses. Yeah, I said it! Fight me!
Whoa! D Tabby here with the spicy takes.
Oh, please. Okay, so I know some of y'all enjoy spicy takes. I know that my clip of me being mad at Joker from Persona 5 is apparently really popular. But I think that's enough spice for now, because I found someone that we can rate to who is the complete opposite of spice. He's actually a really sweet dude. So so before we go and rate out, do you want to give a closing statement to to the audience, maybe words of wisdom or your plans for the near future? Go ahead, enlighten us.
Okay, well, as far as plans for the near future go, tomorrow, probably around 7, maybe around 8, but most likely around 7, I will be doing a second stream where I will be playing the Sonic Racing Cross Worlds Open Network test. And I got Gravity Circuit in the wings for this coming week, so look forward to that. I also got... wait, no, that's another week off. I'll save that particular surprise for later. But whenever the hope seems to be way too far, just turn your gaze up towards the stars.
Yep. And you guys know me. I always like to do my Devil May Cry streams, but also I'm trying to play more Ninja Gaiden and Neo. I'm currently in my Team Ninja arc, so y'all can look forward to more ninja samurai action and demon slaying battles from me.
Nice.
All right, with that being said, that's been episode 4 of Heroes Day Off. So thank you so much for joining me with this podcast, and I'll see you guys later. Good night, everyone.
Thank you for having me. Good night, everybody. Star Speed.
Yep. Laters.